Thank you so much, Korak, for a lovely introduction, and I truly loved the conversation in our podcast. And I believe the session we're listening to a session by Saurabh, and it was very, very insightful, talking about enterprise side of how we'll be implementing AI and AI solutions. But this session is going to be more from a generic point of view for somebody who is beginning his or her career in software engineering, how the dynamics of software engineering and AI are maybe competing with each other or complementing each other. We'll talk about how businesses in India are leveraging AI in some point or the another. Some case studies of how a company, a software engineering company, implemented an AI solution and that has helped in reducing the churn rate. We'll talk about how the acceptability or the impact of AI within government organizations or government functions and how we have been implementing. I've been associated with MyGov. So MyGov is the digital initiative of India, and they have been trying to get AI in hands of people on how we can outreach to more people with respect to different initiatives that government of India comes on with. So we'll talk about a few initiatives that have made a greater impact, and you would all have used those in your day-to-day life. But yeah, thank you so much. Let's start the session. We'll talk about so yeah, we're talking about navigating in the era of software engineering, software development, as well as how businesses will be leveraging it. So we all have heard of this term. ChatGPT was introduced in December 2022, and it has been close to 2 years. We have seen multiple use cases when it comes to creation, when it comes to generation. Not only just text generation, but in the field of software engineering, we have seen how companies have been leveraging, how developers like us have been leveraging, how every single day we see new AI applications, new AI foundational models, as well as different models that can make our processes easier, that can make the process of software development easier. So there has been a trend and there has been a fear as well, right? So we'll talk about how companies look out at it. So there are three pictures. One is by Meta, one is by Salesforce, one is by NVIDIA. So these are the three big tech giants who are competing at some point of time in this space of AI. And these are the three recent remarks, I think, this month itself, last month itself. So Zuckerberg said that Meta plans to replace mid-level engineers with AI this year. That's 2025. Salesforce told that they won't be hiring any software engineers this year. And NVIDIA CEO, Jensen, whom I got a chance to meet last year in their AI summit, he mentioned that we don't need programmers anymore. So these were the three statements by these three tech giants or tech companies. So there's a debate going on around whether these companies are trying to leverage on and hype the AI wave so that they can be at an advantage, or is it the truth, or they are these visionaries who see how the future unfolds for all of us, right? How many of you in the room are software engineers? If I can see a show of hands. A few, right? Most of you would be in data science or software engineering or somehow a field that is closely related to tech. So these three statements somehow brings in a question in our mind, like, is this the right space to be in, or how the space is going to change in the coming 5 years, or how is the space going to change in the coming 1 year? So from the point of view of careers, I talk a lot about careers in tech, and this is the question that comes to me from anyone and everyone, be it a student who is just graduating and looking out for career options. Is software engineering a field that I should get into? Because there's a lot of talk around it. Then there's a same point, with the same point of view, you get to see a lot of early career engineers with 0 to 4 years of experience. What is my worth in this era of AI engineering, or people like softwares being replaced by AI agents, or software engineers being replaced by AI? So should I, like, what should be my worth, or what should I learn? So these are some of the questions, but majorly you need to understand, you need to see that there is a possibility of how we can integrate AI into our systems as well as software engineers, and a company's structure would look a bit different. So we'll talk about how AI has reasoning now. AI doesn't follow Moore's law. So we have seen Moore's law, right? What does Moore's law state? That transistors in a chip, so generally when we talk about hardware, so all of us might have heard of Moore's law. Transistor in a chip generally doubles in every 2 years, roughly 18 months. So that brings the size of the chip to almost half the size. That was Moore's law. But AI is not following that Moore's law when it comes to the advancements, right? So it took generally 2 years to get to that point. But in AI, we have seen not just AI, but hardware integrations, compute, AI advancements. So multiple different things account to one specific technology, and we see the upgradation in, let's say, 2 weeks or 2 months. Last month, OpenAI had 12 days of OpenAI where they were launching every new model or some new announcement every single day. And all these announcements were groundbreaking in terms of how the ecosystem would change. So AI is not following the traditional Moore's law, but it is helping us think and inculcate that if things are fast-paced, how should we leverage this fast-paced things and we can make ourselves more efficient. So a very simple example, for example, you have been doing sentiment analysis, right? So how things looked, let's say 2 years ago or 3 years ago when we were studying in college and building machine learning models. So we used to have something known as supervised learning where you get labeled data. So getting that data, so it includes data cleaning, data pre-processing, processing and stuff. So it would take around a month if you're building that model. Then training that model on data would take another 3 months. Moving on, if you want to deploy or run that model, so the process was pretty much 6 months to a 1 year process if you're building something foundational just 2 years or 3 years back. But how things have changed in a couple of these couple of years, that we write a prompt, we specify a prompt, and we can deploy a model. So building that POC has become very easier. We tend to see more people from non-tech getting that hold of technology and building something that can help them present their solution in front of anyone and everyone, right? So you can see the time difference. So supervised learning, it took around 8 to 10 months to get to a point. Now we can get to a point in a couple of weeks. It's just that we need to equip ourselves with these AI technologies. So ship fast and better. So recently, a very close friend of mine who's not into tech, he wanted to build a recruitment platform. And he had some great idea with a lot of AI integration, something similar to Sense, if you've heard of Sense. So what the process would have been if he was not aware of AI. So he would have conceptualized the idea, then he would have gone to and found a tech co-founder or a founder at any event or whatsoever. And that process is very tedious to get a tech co-founder or somebody who can handle the tech of the company. So he gets that. They build a POC, they have a design ready, and it would again take around a year or so to get the first POC that can be presented in front of somebody. But he came to me and he was just looking out for different ideas, and he had a presentation to present in front of the investor just 1.5 months from our conversation. And he was able to build the first POC, it's exactly the same he would have done in a year. He was able to do it in 1.5 years of time, and he was able to ship it and present it in front of the investors, and he got the investment. So this is how the POCs and the entrepreneurship space in India is changing when it comes to tech. If you are building some tech or services business, for you to have your own landing page, it's a click of minutes. There's so many tools, Bolt.new or Lovable. So if you've used these tools, so you can have a full stack website deployed very easily in your hands. GenAI and India. So it's a very important perspective how India is seeing GenAI. We'll talk about a lot of government initiatives that have been in this space. So there are two words. Aspirational India plus artificial intelligence is equal to 2AI. This is not my terminology. The Prime Minister of country said in some conference that it's not AI, it's 2AI. That's aspirational India plus artificial intelligence. So there are three important things that is helping us build this aspirational India. One is economic growth. India is projected to have a 10 trillion economy. That's one. So building in the 10 trillion economy, AI has a huge part to play. Youth potential. India is one of the countries with the youngest population right now, with an average age of 20 it's in early 20s, right? So huge youth potential whom we need to educate and who can build those innovative AI solutions that we are looking out at. Digital India vision, and as the country moves towards making things more digital, AI can somehow get in that pull and can improve on how we look at things. So now this is how aspirational India looks like, how it will be helping us accelerate our artificial intelligence progress. So with economic growth, youth potential, and digital India vision, we'll see the progress going forward. We can double the impact because the kind of innovation, the youth, the potential, the education that we are providing somehow tends to be aligned in the same way as government is putting in a lot of initiative. India AI is launched. A center of excellence for AI with 500 crores of budget is launched. So multiple different things. And we need to position ourselves as a global leader of AI at some point of time. Right? So multiple different organizations. One is, like, we'll talk about 2 to 3 initiatives that will show you how government organizations are getting impacted by AI, or government is using different modes of AI. One is Digidhan Mitra, so it simplifies payment queries for citizens. So 3 major use cases. One is how AI is helping personalize financial guidance. For example, there's a small business owner who wishes to know that which UPI integrator he should use at his shop or in his business. So there's a chatbot or an AI assistant that can help him choose from different UPI payment integrations that are available and which would be the most cheapest and efficient for him or her. Fraud detection and prevention, most of these banking firms, like you talked about any bank, so the major use case of AI is fraud analysis, risk analysis, and this has been implemented by various government bodies, government organizations for preventing the potential scams that people go through. Language processing for inclusivity. Again, for example, I belong to a small village in Maharashtra, and I am a farmer, and I want to understand what all fertilizers or how my crop would grow. And I don't know English or Hindi. So a chatbot that in which he converses in Marathi and he gets that answer in Hindi or English. So language processing for inclusivity is something that's implemented. Intelligent customer support, you get to have the queries answered in a few minutes, and insights and data for government. The data that is coming through Digidhan Mitra is somehow helping government build their own database to train foundational models from AI. So this is one. Bhashini. So Bhashini is another initiative I've been associated, and Microsoft has been a big part of building Bhashini. So it's more about promoting language accessibility and inclusivity in digital platforms. One is AI-powered language translation. For example, there's a government body in which all the documentations are in Bengali, and you want to convert those documentations to Hindi that can be used at center. So this is a great tool. Speech to text and text to speech. Again, for Bhashini, you would see, like for example, there's a user who wishes to check for what's the particular use case, or the same example that we talked about, a farmer, right? A farmer sitting in a remote town who is unaware of any other language but wants to get that information. So information is available at click of seconds. The feature of text to speech or speech to text, and NLP for Indian languages, you can converse from, India has so many dialects, and you can converse from one dialect to another very simply with this. Indian Railways uses something known as Ask Disha. So it's again a chatbot which handles more than 1 lakh queries each day. It answers questions and issues refund. So things have become more efficient, easier. It's conversational AI for customer interaction, and you see voice and text integration. You can ask the assistant about your refund, and you can get the answer in text or in voice as per your. It has been very effective. So Disha stands for digital interaction to seek help anytime. Various other ministries of corporate affairs, they have something known as MCA2 version 1 that helps, like when companies file for their taxes every year, right? How should it check the validity? So it has made Ministry of Corporate Affairs very reliable. For Indian Railways, testing times of train scheduling, the influx of passengers, it has been predicted, like various prediction models have been put in place for Indian Railways. Income Tax Department has been able to successfully find tax liabilities of people who would show their taxes in donation or some other form. So these are some of the ministries that have been leveraging AI. So this shows how government is aggressively putting itself in front of the people, in front of this era, and trying to match with the pace. Although we see that it's still not up to the standards that we are expecting. So we saw how government is using GenAI, how GenAI and software engineering. So most of you who join a company, right, how things have changed, let's say, in a couple of years, how things have become more easier, and how we have been leveraging GenAI and software engineering. So automation and code generation. Uh, the three aspects of using AI when we sit at our desk, our job. One is code generation. So code generation can be via multiple use cases. One is we generally use UML diagrams, right? So we build a UML diagram, then so the like software development life cycle process has a UML diagram from which we eventually go to the code, right? So we have that UML diagram. Let's say, for example, we want to build a banking infrastructure. We build that UML diagram, we give it to a certain model or a certain tool or something, and we get the infra of that banking structure, right? So from UML diagrams to the actual code, that's one. Secondly, we all would have used GitHub Copilot or various other tools which help us generate code. That code is not 100% correct, but with human intervention, or if we want to leverage, so we can easily move from an incorrect code to a correct code until and unless we can find bugs. So there's, again, one more use case of bug finding or making systems more, enhancing systems with more capabilities. GenAI and code migration. So companies like Meta or Uber or Google, they had something known as code shift engines. So we talk about JS code shift. It was built by Meta. We call something known as Piranha. It was built by Uber. So companies use these code shift engines to migrate code from one version to another. So there are three kinds of migrations. One is language migration. For example, you might want to migrate from COBOL to Java. One is framework migration. For example, you want to migrate from Angular to React or vice versa. And then there is cloud migration or platform migration, for example, Azure to AWS. So these are the three use cases in which AI has been showing its impact. So these are some of the tools that companies have been using. And we'll go in detail about code migration, how things were and how things have been changing. So code migrations at scale. Generally, how the process looked in a company when it comes to code migrations, there were 4 different steps. One is planning, prep, development, and monitoring, right? So it was, again, a very tedious process. You spend a lot of time in planning which all parts of the code that you need to change. Prep required various optional refactors, whether we need to keep this refactor or how will this change the stability of our entire system. We'll talk about how, like, next step was develop, right? So developing that part of code, generating code and replacing it with the kind of code that we want. So it, again, took a lot of time. Monitoring, again, unit testing and rolling back if that feature is not. So there were a lot of feature flags that we used. So code migrations are not just a technical problem. It's time-intensive, costly, and risky. It took a lot of time for us to estimate the kind of cost that we had. So you can see it had 5 processes: knowledge, planning, development, orchestration, and talent. And this knowledge was of no use. For example, you train your engineers on migrating from one particular framework to another, but after some time, this is a non-reusable knowledge, right? So how to make ourselves and our engineers more efficient? So something known as code mod. So the very simple use case, you give a before example, after example, and you get things done. So how code mod AI has changed things, right? So we had a before example, we had an after example. We pass it on to an LLM. We have a draft code mod. So earlier, we used to write code mods on our own, but now with the help of LLM, we have a draft code mod. Then, after various checks, we have an automated prompt engineer that will help us build that code migration system. That can be very easy for the company. Like, I do have a demo for it, but as the time doesn't persist, else I would have shown you the demo. But maybe we can connect offline to discuss if you want more insights on code migration using AI. Enhanced testing and debugging. So again, for testing and debugging also, there are three multiple stages. There are three stages. One is AI-driven code analysis for debugging, automated test case generation. So many tools right now. In my presentation, there were a few names. Log analysis to help us analyze those long logs, be it your in firmware engineering or normal embedded engineering. So multiple use cases again for testing and debugging as well that can help us write meaningful code. Right? Creating AI-driven applications. We have talked about various chatbots. We have talked about AI assistants. We have talked about content writing using AI. So a lot of companies have been leveraging it. A very small case study on how GenAI is boosting software security in banking. Right? So we'll see through what was the problem, how it was solved, and what was the kind of solution that we presented. So for example, this was the case with a bank. So banks security team faced a lot of daily alerts related to code vulnerabilities. So just imagine, for example, there is a P0 or there's a bug that is reported by a customer, and immediately the entire team is in a state key, we need to solve it at any point of time. So it is something that was a problem for that bank. So there were a lot of false positives that overwhelmed the developers, and 80% of their time was spent in resolving these bugs. But they were remunerated or incentivized on the basis of what new features they're building. So there was a mismatch and there was a lot of churn rate in the company because people were not getting appreciated for the kind of work they were doing. So how to solve that? So Bank implemented something known as a GenAI powered platform that streamlined secure software development. So the platform had three different steps. One, it translated those regulations and policies into security controls. Then there was a triage that was done with a lot of alerts to identify which are false positives, false negatives, and so that only the ones which are very, very important, crucial, are presented in front of the engineers. And automated security protocols is something that was taken into consideration. So this was a solution implemented, and you see the results. So the vulnerabilities that used to be in hundreds came to fewer than 10 critical vulnerabilities per day. The developer productivity in that company increased, morale increased. Not only this, it helped them have better operational efficiency. They were able to reduce the contract teams in that case. And this is how a very simple use case of GenAI has helped teams or companies become more efficient. GenAI for small and medium businesses, will touch upon it as the time is very limited. How leveraging AI can help us get more benefits, or what companies have been using. As I come from the content background, I've seen this happening with a lot of companies. And a lot of pitches I hear from founders across multiple domains. A very simple example, you might not be able to hear this.
Listings, conduct interview, and even test engineers. This is built by company called Micro One. To use it, simply provide the job details.
So by now, you all would have seen a lot of AI clones being used by multiple companies, right? So a company, so it generally sells tech gears, right? Tech accessories or something that we use with our phone, something that we use with the laptops. And the company scaled its page from roughly like 2,000s or 3,000s to 100,000s in months with AI clones and video generation. And that brought them a lot of business. So their major pipeline of getting more customers and new users was their Instagram page. Earlier, people used to spend on performance or a lot of other modes of pipelines, but this reduced and the company got in profitability within a couple of months. So a lot of businesses, if you come from a D2C business, or if you come from a tech business, or even if you come from a B2B business, right? So you can leverage different platforms and the kind of content that you can generate using AI. There are various tools. Again, if you are looking out for detailed explanation, we can talk offline, but this is one. Social media is a pipeline. So it helps us track engagement, suggest best times to post, comment automation to directly talk to customers, and like with a lot of engaging responses, right? Same, I was talking about the tech gear. So if tech gear company, so if you're not able to engage with the customers or they engage with the audiences, so that audience is not of any use. So if at all you have a pipeline of customers coming in and you want to leverage that pipeline, so you need to interact. There are various methodologies for interacting with the customers again. and you get a lot of consumer insights from that entire data that's coming to you. How can, for example, Amazon helps us recommend systems, right? So there's a big use case. How can smaller companies or medium businesses leverage the same kind of interact or infrastructure that Amazon has built very easily using GenAI? That's something we need to think about. AI-powered chatbots, we have already seen the use cases in railways and other government organizations, but this is something that is powering small and major businesses. And currently, this is the scale. Like these are the different departments within a company, and how much are they leveraging AI? For example, IT, that people are talking about mostly about IT sector or IT jobs. So 28% adoption in IT, 11% in operations, marketing is 10%, customer service is 8%, and this has been growing like at a very fast pace. All these departments are somehow leveraging AI, and this is what small and medium businesses in India are focusing. Now, again, a small video I would want to show how things would look like in 2025. The things we have talked till now mostly focused on how we have seen the era from 2022 to 2024. We called it something known as generative AI, era of generative AI. But let's talk about this. This is Operator, very recently launched by OpenAI. Can you book me a table at the Post in Los Altos at 7:30? So it opens your browser. It looks out for the relevant restaurant or the relevant table. The available time slots for tomorrow are this. Shall I proceed with reserving? Yes, please. The reservation for the post on open table are ready to be finalized. The name, phone number, and email are pre-filed. Should I proceed? Yes. Reservation has been confirmed. So this is how AI now has that reasoning, right? So AI is coming with that reasoning. It can take decisions on its own. Like for some of you who are not aware, like all of us have been talking about something known as agents. But for anyone and every one of you who is not aware of, so I have something, again, this is another example. I'll just skip it. So this is NVIDIA's keynote. So this is CES, one of the biggest conferences. This time, Jensen's keynote mentioned agent 22 times. And every other company has been talking about agents in 2025. Salesforce has a platform known as Agent Force, where you can easily build agents. ServiceNow has recently launched something where you can build agents. All these smaller companies are building like small startups like NA10 or different platforms where you can build your own AI agents. So the trend is shifting towards building those AI agents, but how can you build your own AI agents? Again, there are very simple ways. What an AI agent is, let's understand it. So I would say AI with reasoning and taking decisions is something you can easily you can easily explain it. It observes its surroundings, understands the information, takes those decisions autonomously, and performs tasks to achieve a specific goal. For somebody who's very new, a very simple example, a self-driving car has all the features of an AI agent, right? From observing the road, to processing the data, to making driving decisions and navigating safely to a destination. If we can build an analogy, how a self-driving car works, similarly an AI agent works for any different use case or any different functionality. AI agent has brains, an LLM memory, tool, system prompts, output, input. This is something how an AI agent looks like. So how you build an AI agent, right? So there are various platforms, NA10, Dialogflow, Rasa. You can define a purpose, you can choose a platform, design a conversation flow, and you can train the model. It's that simple. A very simple email automation agent. Let's say, for example, on a day-to-day basis, I receive tens or hundreds of emails. So how I can develop that database, or I can develop that memory that my emails are automatically responded back using this AI agent, right? So this was very simple. It had, again, when chat message is received, it gets to the AI agent, OpenAI chat model is connected, you get a window buffer, and all this can be built in a few minutes, right? If you are comfortable with the platform, you can build your own AI agents within minutes. So I have used NA10, but you can use any other platform. So what would future career options look like, right? This is a very common question that comes to me. Like, would it be more of AI? Would it be more of prompt engineers? Would it be more of platform engineers? Or what exactly would the future career options look like? So the thing that everyone is imagining is a company, organization, or a structure where you get software engineers, software engineering managers, along with AI agents working in close collaboration with each other. So you would be using those AI agents and would look like your own colleagues or your own interns that you have hired, right? So the organization structure would look like this going forward. This is what is predicted, but again, it's very open-ended. Everyone can have his or her own point of view. Whom do you think will win the AI race? Maybe a random guess. We have been seeing NVIDIA winning the race. Then there's a new model comes in, DeepSeek. NVIDIA goes down by 17, 18%. There were a lot of debates. Again, a very debatable question. What should we teach our children when all of this is happening? Would that same set of things that we were learning at our school or our university, what should we teach our children? So these are the three questions to ponder, to think on, and to understand when it comes to this era going forward from now. But yeah, that was it for the session. I think we are up with time also. It was great talking to all of you. Thank you so much. I hope it was insightful. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Harsh. Stick around. We don't have a lot of time, but we'll just take 2 questions. One of them is mine. It's slightly off topic. I'm not going to talk about the developers community, but I'm going to talk about content a little bit.
Okay.
So you make such great content, so much of that goes viral. And if I'm not wrong, most of that you're shooting yourself.
Yeah.
You haven't used the AI video generated platforms yet.
Yeah.
And so many of those videos, so many of those reels does even better than, say, a platform like Varun Maya.
Yeah.
Numbers I'm talking about. But platforms like Varun Maya, a lot of other platforms, they're moving on to the AI generated platforms now.
Yes.
So what would you think the future looks like to reach out to the masses, to reach out to the ground level, is an actual person shooting the content? Because you can make out.
Yeah.
Does that make it better? Or are we soon getting to a time where all content is going to be AI generated?
So still I am in the phase where I'm evaluating. I had various options. A lot of these agencies do reach out to you every time. They pitch you that they will build content for you and you don't need to worry about anything and everything. But I'm still in the evaluation phase. I have seen various AI clones of me, various AI voices of me putting out content. They have shown me. But still I would feel with the time, things are going to improve. I think yesterday only I was seeing one more model that trained Einstein's voice, and it looked pretty good. It not only just face or expressions, but entire body gestures, the data was trained. So it looked very, very good, right? So things would change going forward. Maybe at some point of time we would shift, or it would again be a mix of AI generated content plus human content. But you can't just move to AI generated content. You would need to have that emotional connect or something that you just put out very randomly rather than building the content, scripting and stuff. So raw content also works in. So you need to have a mix of both AI generated and raw content. But as of now, I'm not using that AI generated content, but soon might be.
Absolutely. Love that idea. You will need that human touch. One more question we have time for. Anybody with any questions? Especially budding developers, budding software engineers? Then I myself will ask one last question. Will there soon come a time with all this low-code, no-code platform becoming the absolute norm? Will there soon come a time where the students who are learning to be developers, will they start asking themselves a question, okay, what is even the point of training ourselves in all of these languages when it's pretty much all no-code, low-code?
That's already, I think, in place. A lot of these no-code, low-code AI tools coming into picture, and you can build. I was talking about Bolt, or I was talking about Lovable, or you've seen platforms like Zoho, where you can build those platforms or those website or front end or back end of that particular website very easily. What we predict in future is, again, you can't, when it comes to scale, so scale is not something that can be managed by AI as of now, but let's say 5 years down the line, we would see something new coming up. But yeah, hopefully not all the jobs will be eliminated, or we would see some transformation or newer aspects of jobs coming into picture, how trends in jobs or how creation of new jobs would be complemented with AI coming into picture. So that's how the future looks like.
Absolutely, and very, very exciting times. Ladies and gentlemen, Harsh Goel, what an insightful session. Huge round of applause, guys.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
Hello. Thank you so much, Harsh.